I do want to pause to acknowledge something that I think weighs heavily on all of our hearts. Charlie Kirk was going to join us virtually today. He was going to Zoom in and give us a message. His absence is felt. But together, we can honor him as a family of patriots. Later in the program, we're going to take a few moments to really honor his life and his legacy. But for now, if we could just have a brief moment of silence in his memory. Thank you all so much. I do know that today we're going to carry the courage and conviction that Charlie had throughout this entire gathering. I tend to walk around a little bit. I got to stay in one spot for the mic, so. Okay. I want to say thank you all. I want to thank the great men and women that are here protecting us, the law enforcement professionals here. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you. And I want to thank the Patrick Henry College as well for having the courage to allow us to host this event. We're very appreciative. So folks, we are here today because we believe that the American dream is at risk for our children and our grandchildren. So we need Americans of all generations and of all backgrounds to come together to reclaim our freedoms. Now, I think it's so fitting that we're here in Virginia, the mother of presidents, to celebrate and advance such an important cause as American patriotism. And I really can feel the energy and the spirit of some of those presidents in this room today. It's the same patriotism that strengthened George Washington's resolve in his bold Christmas Day crossing of the Delaware. And I see that reflected in so many AMAC members and men and women like you. And the same firm belief in the promise of America that motivated Thomas Jefferson as he penned the revolutionary words of our Declaration of Independence. That same spirit, it lives in us. And of course, while not a president, I would be remiss if I didn't mention Patrick Henry himself. He had such a fiery passion for this country. He risked everything to build, and he inspired perhaps the most famous words and memorable words in American history: "Give me liberty or give me death." That's the type of passion that I believe that we need more of in this country. And this is exactly what we do at AMAC to unleash and inspire each and every single day. I'm so grateful for so many of you that are already AMAC members and joining us in our mission. And for those of you who aren't AMAC members, my message is this: what are you waiting for? Join. Just over 15 years ago, my father, Dan Weber, he founded AMAC because he could not believe that AARP had become a tool of the Democrat Party and the political left that were doing things to destroy this country. And he had great wisdom and foresight, and he saw that these left-wing movements were really going at the heart of everything that America stands for. AARP was an organization that was supposed to be defending seniors, but instead they were being used to prop up bad, terrible policies like Obamacare, gun control, and abortion. Now, since then, we've grown from just a few thousand members to over 2 million members strong in all 50 states. And today, AMAC is locking arms with boomers and Gen Zers to send a message to the radical left that they cannot ignore. We will never bow to their godless ideology. The silent majority is silent no more. That's right. We are rising, and our voices will shake the nation. That's what we're going to do. We're going to make our voices heard. All of us in this room, young, old, and somewhere in between, we still believe that the U.S. Constitution is the greatest experiment in self-government in history. And we believe that the right to free speech and free exercise of religion applies to all Americans, including conservatives and Christians and Jewish students on college campuses. There's no place for violent temper tantrums by those who sympathize with Hamas terrorists. Many of these students, they're not even American citizens. They don't belong on our college campuses, and the only thing that they should get from America is a one-way ticket back to their country of origin. We also believe that a nation without the Second Amendment is less free and more dangerous. We honor our brave men and women of law enforcement who risk their lives every day to keep our communities safe, and the thousands of criminals who are creating all kinds of crimes, including vandalism and theft. They've got to be prosecuted. It's time that we stop cowering to criminals and we reassert law and order in this great country. That's right. At Amac, we will never forget the most fundamental right of all, and that is the right to life. Because at Amac, we believe that every human being is made in the image and likeness of God. And we believe that our most sacred responsibility is giving a voice to the voiceless, and that includes innocent babies in the womb. I'm a mother. Amen. As a mother and a grandmother, and I'm sure many of you would agree with me here, that we're not going to give up on our kids, and we are always going to proudly defend this radical idea that there are only two genders. Boys don't belong in girls' sports, and they don't belong in our girls' locker rooms. We've got to call it what it is, folks. This gender-affirming care is, in fact, child abuse. That's what it is, and we're going to call them out on that and continue calling them out on that. You see, the radical left, what they want to do, these radical Democrats, they want to fund terrorists. Essentially, that's what they want to do. They want to persecute our police. They want to release violent criminals on our street. They want to kill unborn babies. They want to teach our children to hate America, and then they want to teach them that they were born in the wrong body. It is what we're up against is something that I would never think today that we would be talking about these kinds of things, but they're real, they're severe, and it's a threat. And you know, if you go to the Bible, Jesus reminds us, woe to those that would call any of these little ones to sin. They'd be better off with a millstone hung around their neck and thrown into the sea. You see, the liberal elites have worked so hard at tearing down everything that our founding fathers have built, and our forefathers and our presidents, that they really don't need to attack America. They can just sit back and wait, because the left is destroying America from within. And we're not going to let them. We are going to make sure that your voice is heard. We're going to empower those people that are coming into our mature organization, and we're going to reach across the aisle and talk to young people and continue that in the spirit of Charlie Kirk. Because these radical Democrats, they care more about illegal aliens than they do American citizens, and they're bowing to this climate cult. They use our children as pawns in their political experiments. And then they ignore the real things that matter, like the deadly drugs that are coming into our border, right? They ignore the fact that tens of thousands of American citizens are dying because we're not keeping our streets safe. Now, if that isn't bad enough, the radical left is on a warpath, whether they know it or not, to kill the American dream. 70% of young people who want to buy a home can't afford to do so. Young people are delaying getting married, they're delaying having children, and study after study shows that the rising generation is afflicted with more hopelessness and despair than any other generation before it. Hard to believe, but that's where our young people are today. But it isn't just the young people. Older people, those collecting Social Security, are struggling financially. The promise that if you get a job, that if you work hard, that if you contribute to your community so that one day you can retire in comfort, that is increasingly empty for those nearing the end of their working careers. And I hear from people, I hear their personal stories, how difficult it is. Now, all of this is done by design, okay? It's done by design. and I call it the enemy. We're in a spiritual war. But this radical left, they want to make we the people powerless. They want to make us dependent on government from cradle to grave. They want to inoculate us into their religions of nihilism, Marxism, atheism. I say they're allergic to God, and especially to the name of Jesus Christ. But here's some good news, folks. We know that the lies of the left cannot withstand the light of truth. So when we speak truth, and we do that with courage, there is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country and handing down our freedoms to our children and our grandchildren. So despite what the left wants us to believe, they can't change the fact that it's not government that gives us our rights, but our rights, our real rights, they come from God. They're bestowed upon us by God. Now, I'm reminded of the great words that were once spoken by Ronald Reagan when he said, freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. It's got to be fought for and defended by each and every generation. You know, it was our parents, our grandparents, my grandfather, for some of you younger people, your great-grandparents who built such an incredible superpower of the 20th century. And across the country, millions of young men of the greatest generation, they said goodbye to their loved ones. They stared down fascism to win back our civilization. And then what happened? In the decades that followed, America defeated communism, we won the Cold War, and we planted the American flag on the moon. Today, we do face many new challenges and different enemies, but one thing remains the same. It is up to us to inspire the young people of this great nation. It is up to us to teach our children and our grandchildren, no matter how unpopular it is, because they, and we're going to help them with this, we will continue to build the 21st century into one of the greatest lands of innovation, opportunity, and liberty that the world has ever known. And I believe I have such great hope in America, and I have such great hope in all of you. It's going to be tough, but we can't give up. It's going to take fearless men and women like you all here today to be the risk takers, to be the revolutionaries, to inspire your family, to inspire your children. It starts at the kitchen table, and all of you can do that because our glory days, they don't have to be a thing of the past. We can become and be a part of the next greatest generation because right now, much like during World War II, the stakes are high and the threats, they're severe. It's going to take all of us working together to defeat the lies of the left, to restore the American dream. Here's what we've got to do. We've got to shrink the size of government because it's become bloated with waste, fraud, and abuse. We've got to ensure that only American citizens can vote in our elections. We've got to defend our God-given freedoms, starting with freedom of speech and freedom of religion. We must demand fiscal responsibility from Washington. We've got to ensure that our borders remain secure. We've got to stop the illegal flow of drugs into our nation, end the evilness of human trafficking. We have to protect our children and grandchildren from the gender lies of the left and build a culture that honors every human life as a beloved child of God. That is what Amac stands for. That is what Amac fights for, and Amac will never, ever give up. Thank you so much. God bless you, and God bless America.